All right, we'll go ahead and get started with the October 14th Urban Experience Committee meeting. We'll start with item number 1, which is the monthly permit report with Tommy Palmquist.
Good afternoon. I'm Tammy. So things are looking really good right now. We have the highest year-to-date job values on record at 645 million. So with 3 months of the year to go, we only need 14 million to break the total record that was set in 22. Highest year-to-date housing units issued at 1,245. So that's basically 75% of the housing units issued this year are in multifamily. Units issued in September is 179. So again, June was a little bit slow, but they were in review. So now they're coming, these permits are getting issued and you're seeing them realized. Compared to last year, total housing units are up 5%, total building permits are up 16%, and job values are up 55%. Total building permit applications are doing pretty good, 1% increase over last year. Total commercial applications up 26%. Solar applications are down. So this was a trend. Even last year was a little bit less than the year before. So as some of those federal and state funding opportunities are going away, we are seeing less permitting coming in, but people are still using Solar App Plus, and so that's good. Oh, I do have an update. As of the 4th, we surpassed the 22 job values at 661 million. So we have hit that number.
Didn't the 22 numbers include a lot of public spending?
Yes, 22, there was a lot of public spending, so there was a lot of schools in that.
Yeah. So realistically, if we're just kind of comparing more apples to apples, we're probably substantially above.
Yeah, and you'll see later on, and even last month where we saw the private sector was much higher. Yes. So most of this was commercial remodels and new residential. So commercial remodels was 215.38 and new residential was 253.91. Something exciting is we did get a grant from Commerce. So we were awarded the largest grant out of the 2 grant cycles. City of Airway Heights did also get a grant from Commerce, and so they're using it to work on their process improvement and codes. We're using it to help with the implementation of the new permitting and licensing system, so that will help ease those costs and so spread that out for kind of what everybody was already going to be paying for their proportionate share. So that was really exciting. On Thursday, I am actually going to speak at the APA conference in Bellevue. There's 4 of us from the 5290 stakeholder group that we've been working with Commerce since last year. And so we're going to speak at a panel about kind of what we did as a group and things that we want to continue doing moving forward as it relates to 5290. So kind of exciting. We are in phase 1 of the permitting system implementation. So we have provided a great deal of documentation to the Davenport group, and we are ahead of schedule because we gave them so much information up front. So only like a week or 2, but still, when you're talking about a 9-month timeline, every week matters, and knowing that we would probably be delayed during the holidays just because people take time off. So it's good that we're getting all this work done up front so that we can have that flexibility during the holidays. Fee study, we do have the draft back, and we're reviewing that with the department heads right now. So more to come on that. Total permit applications for September were up for the averages. Total construction permits issued, we are also up, so quite a bit over last year. And these are just the building permits. So total new residentials are up 15%, and residential remodels were up 14.9%, so 15% as well. Here's the public and private that you were sort of alluding to. So again, you know, mostly that private investment, less of the public. We do have one school in plan review, Adams Elementary, but of course the school district is dealing with their bond measures as well. But they are still moving forward with getting that permit ready to issuance. Multifamily housing units. The last 2 years have been the best, so we're on target to beat last year as well. Single-family residential, we've picked back up, so this was good. This summer was a little bit slower, but they're coming on. So we're on pace to issue permits for more than 300 new houses. Will only be the second time that's occurred since 2019. So we're getting back into the swing of it. There was a little slowdown, but again, we're seeing more permits coming in
So
for
Tammy,
single.
are those permits across the city, or are they in a subdivision type? Do you know?
There are a couple. There is a subdivision up north in Indian Trail, but we're really seeing them across the board. There's a lot of infill ones as well. Eagle Ridge is pretty much built out, so, and the rest of the subdivisions over there are still in permitting phases, so we're not going to see any of those home permits right now. I would say probably the one on Indian Trail is the biggest subdivision that we're seeing houses in, and then the rest are scattered.
Thank you.
So single-family residences were at 247, duplexes 38, multifamily 933, and changes of use, so like office to residential or something like that, or a duplex to a triplex, we're at 27. So 1,245 units is pretty good. So certificate of occupancy, so this is what's actually hitting the market. So the house is done, it's selling, people are moving in. So we're at 219. For single family, duplexes 12, multifamily 14. So a little bit less this month. And yeah, taking us to 248 for the total COs issued. So this is what's in review. So we still have 1,600 units in review. So some of these will come on slowly. And then in future, like through pre-dev and multifamily, what's been identified, so not in for review yet, but out there, is another 2,000 units.
So all the applications that went in to beat the energy code earlier this year, how many units did that equate to? And do we know kind of what percentage are moving forward?
I don't. I can take a look back in our permitting record. We did have quite a few, which is why we think June was pretty slow, because everybody submitted in the spring. But I can get those numbers for you.
I'd just be curious to see, because I know some folks did that knowing that they're not going to really be getting to work for quite a while. So I'm just curious how.
Yeah, so some of the larger developers like Lennar actually prioritized their permits for us. And so even though they submitted, I don't know, I'm just taking a guess, 100 homes, they said, we really want these ones first. These ones we're not going to get to for a while. So that helped us prioritize what was in our queue so that those 100 homes weren't blocking the one-offs, the individuals. And so we were able to kind of pick and choose and not just have it all get jammed up. So the bigger home, we did that with, we reached out to most of the larger home builders and asked them to prioritize their jobs for us.
And do we have any quads that have been built? Because I know we don't have a category up there for it.
Well,
But
a lot of those come in as townhomes, and so they're platting onto individual lots. And so while it looks like 4 townhomes, it is on 4 lots. So those are single family. I'm not seeing, we've seen triplexes. I'd have to go look if we've seen many quads, like kind of an apartment style. I don't do plan review anymore, so I don't see all this. I have to ask about it.
well, I wonder, could we maybe get in the future just a breakdown by zone? So R1, R2, RMH, high density, and get a sense of the number of units that's going into each zone?
I don't know that I can do that with Acela.
Okay.
I can look. We're not trying to do many changes to Acela. We're really focusing all of our effort on implementing into the new system. The new system is GIS based, so those are things that we should be able to do. Here you can see by council district. And then here's some of the biggest housing units in neighborhoods: Cliff Cannon, East Central, Southgate, Lincoln Heights. And then 5 Mile was the 5th, so. North Hill had 88 units, so that's good for North Hill. Here you can see largest project issued by construction value. So again, lots of multifamily, lots of housing. Cora multifamily came on in September. And then here's what's in plan review right now based on construction value. So again, lots of residential. The Vistas apartments and townhomes are in here, so that'll be a lot of units. Nodo Normandy did come back in and submit some additional revised plans, so they're moving again too, which was good to see. Nodo Cinto also submitted revised plans. Lyons is still working on getting their utilities. They're not our water district, so there's been some, but they did turn in revised plans on some of their engineering that they need. So I don't know, it's not looking like it's gonna get paved this year, but they're putting all their effort into getting the infrastructure and all of that wrapped up before they come back and submit on the housing side of it.
Well, if we can communicate, we're starting to see more RV activity again on that site. I think that'd be good to get
Okay.
them on it.
And that's it. Any other questions?
What was the asterisk on the Peyton building? What does that mean?
Oh, it's been approved.
Okay.
So I think, let's see. Oh, from the time this report was ran to when, the report was ran to when this presentation was made, it actually had been approved.
Okay. All
So
right.
Peyton is approved, Cora is approved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll go on to item number 2, which is the community center contract renewal with Sarah Clements. And I believe we all got an email about this last week as a kind of heads up, but this is a little bit more detail.
Thank you. I'm Sarah. And yeah, we're here today to tell you about the plan going forward, and then we'll come back next month with a 1-year contract that will go through the council process. There we go. So currently, this is where we stand and what we're proposing to go towards. But we want an effort to support all 4 of the locations and hear more about what the Southwest Community Center is doing. And MLK Center has been working since 2017 to become more in line with the Northeast and West Central Community Centers. So this plan just moves that forward along. Currently, we're getting quarterly narrative reports, which are missing or inconsistent. And what we'd like to do is have more of a biannual presentation to you so that the community centers themselves can build those relationships with you and tell their own stories. And we're getting a single-page invoice, and we'd like a little bit more detail through a general ledger expense that we'd like to put into the contracts. So for this, we do have a plan of engaging the community centers and their communities, who's the organizations that are working within them, all of that, have some goal setting, and then of course have that in time to draft, to go through the process for council approval. We would like them, the community centers, to have more of a long-term facilities review so that we can budget what they need for their big project, but then facilities can also budget better their time for each of the community centers. We want the centers to identify 3 to 5 success metrics for them that they think they can accomplish. Through all of that, outline the most effective reporting practices so we can better tell their stories. Identify opportunities for improved relationships with the city. So how can we better improve those partnerships and help lift those needs up? And then clarify the roles and responsibilities that are unique for each center. So we just really want to emphasize that, is that we really want to focus on the individual centers and what they need and not make this kind of a broad, all centers have to fall within. So the timeline, we've already started site tours and learning their facilities plans. Early next year, have the round tables with the communities and that community engagement, hopefully drafting those contracts next summer, and then have, hopefully this time next year, those contracts executed so that we could have multi-year contracts effective January 2024. Historically, these have been 4-year contracts. And I went through that real fast, so how you going?
So, yes, it's been inconsistent with the community centers reporting out, and during COVID, there was basically no reporting. So will there actually be a baseline of standard requirements for them before they go into their uniqueness?
Yes.
And is this the evaluation on facilities itself, or facilities and the programming part?
Yes, facilities in the program. We want to have an arm that we're helping facilities get their contracts and what they need, so that both the centers are happy with it. They've got their things built up. Facilities has a budget and a plan going forward. But then, yes, what are those organizations? How can we help facilitate those partnerships in the community and what's happening with what they want to accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just trying to understand what would be some things that we're thinking about that would be put in these agreements that they would have to comply with in order to receive the dollars.
Could you rephrase that?
Well, I mean, clearly, we're going through some process to put some sort of mandates on the centers in order for them to get the dollars allocated. So what are some examples of those mandates that we are looking to apply to the centers?
I think it's more of like the reporting, making sure, like some of the general ledger, like even the invoicing, we aren't getting very consistent invoices back, and so we want a little bit more detail in terms of what that is. I have to go to Dawn and the broader around what would be the teeth in that in terms of what we could hold them accountable for, but generally putting more of those pieces of their reporting to us, the amount that we're giving to them, and the facilities information.
Well, for example, would there be some sort of a requirement that in certain situations, emergency or otherwise, the centers would have to act as a low barrier shelter?
I think that would have to come from the centers. So that would have to be something that the centers identify.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Northeast has a long-term lease, so it wouldn't affect them. I mean, the lease is set. But I'm just trying to understand, is that where we're going with this?
That is not what we're going for. We want this to be center-driven.
Okay, that's very good.
Yeah.
So just clarity, the Southwest Community Center or the South Side Community Center?
Southwest Spokane Community Center, which is housed inside the All Saints
Saints Church?
in Browns Addition, yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So again, back to Councilmember Cathcart's point, I guess facilities is one thing, but if they're actually doing programming, are we monitoring that they have met their deliverables that they wrote those monies for? So is that a different funding?
We aren't right now, and so that's what we would like to have more of those discussions of, if you identify these are your 3 to 5 metrics that you think are success and that you can have, because that's why we want them to identify them. What are you doing to get there, and how can we, help with an organization coming in or not? What does that look like for them, but help really facilitate that from their standpoint.
Last one, I promise, Councilmember Home. So I know like the Corbin Senior Center or the Cento Senior Center, there are other centers around the city. Do they have the ability to apply for funding? Because the Southwest is in the church. I understand the 3, those are our buildings, but then the Southwest, how did that one get into the mix?
That I will have to look in on,
Okay.
but I know that they used to have a parks contract, and they used to be funded by CBDG, and so there's been something of, kind of an oversight of them, and we wanted to use these next 4 years to learn more of what they're doing. And would it be separate from the 3 that are there, or versus the ones that you've mentioned?
Okay, 'cause those others had community block grant dollars as well.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that it is a level playing field, that they
Yeah.
all have the ability to apply for city supports going forward, because they're all many doing amazing things, some better than others. So that was my question. All right, thanks.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you for that update.
And I'll see you next month.
All right. Tammy, you're coming back up with the SBO for the development services positions. It looks like Steve will be joining you. Should have just had you do it all at the same time. Oops.
Okay. So this SBO is to add positions in the DSC, one position being a building plans examiner, one position being a planner 1, and another one being an engineering tech 4, and then the 4th one is a clerk 3, which has been renamed, and can't remember. The clerk line was renamed. But, so these positions, 3 being the ones that would be directly tied to plan review, reviewing our commercial permits, reviewing land use applications, reviewing engineering plans that are coming through, new subdivisions, private development. This is where we're seeing a slowdown just in the sheer volume of permits that we're processing, and we haven't been adding positions like we should have to keep up with it. So this should get us, again, making those strides to free up capacity to get permits reviewed quicker. This in tandem with the new permitting system and new efficiencies. We're looking at our processes, looking at best management. We're asking the Davenport Group kind of, what do you see that's working well in other jurisdictions, relating to those timelines. So together, we think that we can start to really make an impact and get permits out the door faster.
Yeah, do these, I guess 2 questions. Do these additions get us closer to our kind of goal of 2 weeks to permit for residential in particular?
Single-family residential has been coming in closer to that. Multifamily is where we struggle, just because it's more complex. The energy code is something that has become more complex and more difficult. This is something you'll see next year. We want to add an energy code plans examiner / inspector, so that hopefully for some of this middle housing, they don't need to hire that third party reviewer for energy code, that we can do that in-house and provide them, with a quicker service, and then our inspectors, so they, again, wouldn't have to hire a third-party inspector. So I would say, single family, yes, we're really close to hitting that target. It's the middle family, the middle housing, so these, the townhome projects and the smaller apartment complexes, that's where we got to get those back down.
But this is going to help.
This position would be reviewing those, so.
Great. And then last year-ish, we discovered $8 million in the DSC fund. Do we know where that stands today? Have we utilized some of that for some of these positions?
This is going to be utilizing those unappropriated fund balances.
And what about the remaining? Do we have a plan for that?
I don't believe there's a plan for the full amount, because I think it does make sense to keep some portion of that there for the downturns that are inevitably going to happen. But yes, we're using some of that to pay for the software, and also some of that to pay for these positions.
Just for example, last question. We had talked about using some of those dollars for some aspects of, projects of citywide significance. Is any of
Right.
that being discussed any further?
That's an option. We were hoping to utilize more of the ARPA funds, because we did have that initial $2 million, and then not all of that's been used. So that is an option. Yeah.
Council President.
So with, I was going to ask you before you left, Tammy, with the increased activity, if there was capacity in your department, so I'm glad we're talking about this. With the fee structure, we got some of the money that was found. With the fee structure, will the fee structure really help offset the costs of these new people that are coming on board?
So we actually asked FCS to look at that, and so if we're adding, we told them what positions we'd like to add, what those salary ranges were, and with benefits. And so they built that into kind of the regular model and then the more positions added model. So we will have that information, but yes, it does seem that we'll be able to support the activity.
And just one note on that. So for those that haven't heard this before, on the fee permit, so we have not adjusted our fees since 2008. And so that process is underway to look at that and then put us in the mix of other jurisdictions in the region and our size in the state so that we're not above or below, but we're kind of in the mix there.
Any other questions? All right, thank you for that update.
Thank you.
All right, next we have item number 5. Oops, skipped item number 4. Land use application code updates with Jackie Churchill. Didn't want to skip you there.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jackie Churchill, and I'm going to brief you today on the code amendments to update land use application procedures to clarify, expedite, and consolidate the land use permitting process in accordance with Senate Bill 5290. So to give you some background, in 2023, Washington State Legislature passed Senate Bill 5290 to update the Local Project Review Act to improve project review and permitting processes. And the major updates to this include clarification to the determination of completeness of permits, permitting deadlines, and additional mitigation measures to encourage cities to meet those new deadlines. So these updates that we are proposing will amend various sections of Title 17 of the Unified Development Code of the Spokane Municipal Code. And pursuant to SB 5290, we are proposing that the effective date of this ordinance would be January 1st, 2025. We've taken this item to Plan Commission already, and they've recommended approval to move to City Council. And before I go over the proposed amendments, I just want to point out that these changes will not materially affect the way that Spokane does permitting. It is just to clarify and expedite the process, and also that building permits will not be included in these changes, just land use application permits. And examples of those are permits for subdivisions and conditional use permits and short and long plats. And they all go to the hearings examiner. Okay, so the changes fall into 3 major categories. So the first is updates to the permitting timelines. And these new permitting timelines are meant to ensure that a final decision on permits is made in a timely manner. And the new time periods are 65 days for permits that do not require public notice, 100 days for permits that do require some sort of public notice, and 170 for permits that require a public hearing. And then also on that point, in discussion with current planning, they noted that the City of Spokane is actually already meeting the proposed new deadlines. And so they do not anticipate undue pressure on staff to meet those new deadlines. So the second category is updates to the determination of completeness process. And these are to clarify the process of determining when a permit is deemed technically complete. And major updates include stating that every weekday is counted in the time periods, not just business days. Stating that 29 days after an application is submitted, the application will be deemed technically complete unless the city issues a written determination to the contrary. And then stating that applicants will receive written determinations throughout the whole process. And then the final group of changes are additional mitigation measures. And to give you some background on this, SB 5290 has a section in it that mandates that cities have to refund 10 to 20% of permit fees if they do not meet the new permitting deadlines, unless they adopt additional measures. And in the bill, there are 10 measures that are provided, and after discussing the different measures with staff, we decided that these 3 measures would be good to adopt. And the first of which is that during the determination of completeness process, city staff can reach out to an applicant to schedule a meeting, additional meeting, to provide additional assistance and help resolve any issues there may be to move the permit along in a timely manner. The second is to change the requirement that the applicant goes to a pre-development conference to recommended instead of required. And this is also a consistency step because in some cases already it's only required and in some it is recommended. So we decided to just change it all to recommended. And then the final mitigation measure we actually are already doing, so we don't have to make any changes. And it is to adopt development regulations that make housing types an outright permitted use in a zone where they are permitted. So in other words, they're not conditional use permits or special use permits, they're just allowed. All right, and so that concludes my presentation. Questions?
Yeah, so just so I understand, so if, as long as we are employing 3, and I don't know if there's a certain number of things we have
Yeah,
to.
it's 3.
3? So as long as we're doing that, then there is no refunding of fees, even if we
Correct.
completely miss a deadline by months, right?
Correct.
Okay, so what are the other 7 that we're choosing not to proceed with?
I don't recall all of them offhand. I can definitely look them up for you and send them to you. They're definitely a mixed bag of different things. Some of them are items like setting aside budget in order to hire an employee if we need another employee to speed up the process. I think another one is like working with another jurisdiction to combine our efforts. So it's things like that, and there are others, and I can send them to you. But we thought these would be something we can definitely hit, and also not, add undue stress to staff and change the process completely.
Well, I'll just say, I love this. I think this is great. I think it'd be a better incentive if we stuck with the 10 to 20% refund if we can't meet the deadlines, because then we actually have a real motive, I think, to meet those deadlines. But regardless, I think we need a lot more of these types of things really pushing process forward.
So when the meeting's scheduled, when staff reaches out to have a meeting with the permit applicant to speed the process along, I assume that's because they're not getting the information they need? Is that addressing that?
I think the goal of that is, so it's during I think it's called the component screening portion, and there are many components that go into permits, and it is to ensure that the information that the applicant is giving is quality information that we can actually use. And if there's a question, it's just to help to facilitate that and give them kind of extra help, really. And to make sure, yes, we're communicating with them properly.
They do still have to have all of the information before it can be technically complete, is that correct?
Yes.
Council President.
So just clarity, so with these 3 mitigation measures, then there's no way we would have to refund outside of that?
Right. Yes. So that's what the bill says. Yep.
I want my money back, though. All right. Okay, we'll talk about it.
All right, thank you
Thank
for all
you.
that information.
All right. Thank you.
Now we'll move on to item number 5, which is the ARPA reallocation with Michelle Murray.
Good afternoon, Council. Thank you. I went through all of the existing projects and narrowed down dollar amounts, got all my buckets in a row so that we could determine, because we have to go through this exercise again to make sure that we're not going to turn any money back over to the Treasury. And administration has come forward with this ARPA reallocation, pulling back $443,754.11 across all of those buckets, and leaving them certain dollars amounts that they need for like commissioning of the STARS vehicle and a little bit for the AVI here in council chambers and so forth. And then we are proposing to reallocate that $443,000 across 4 items, one being the HVAC system to Fire Station 1. Their bids came in at $526, and they were only allocated $300,000. $6,138 for sales tax for the WI Fire software because it was not, they gave the allocation was just for the software itself, and we need to pay for sales tax as well. And then $200,000 for Latah Valley TIF analysis and sub-area planning, and then $60,000 for a memory garden.
Right, any questions or comment? This was a recommendation from the council work group.
Yes.
So we can also answer some of those questions too.
Yeah, a couple things. I mean, I guess how did we come to the decision that we're going to take away the $100,000 for the ombudsman?
So I can answer that if you want, or do you want to? I'll say the council work group met and talked with both BART and facilities to try to understand what the likelihood of getting that money out the door was. And there were lots of different ideas proposed to the ombuds office, and those were not liked by the ombuds office. And so the recommendation from the committee is to take back those funds because it's unlikely that they'll be used by the end of the year.
Well, I guess from my perspective, I mean, it seems like a slap in the face to the ombudsman, and frankly, a slap in the face to the voters who, support an independent ombudsman. I don't even know how hard facilities, was really trying to get that wall built in time. And so now to kind of be pulled us to a deadline that, we can't meet just really ticks me off that that's been the way we've gone about this. So I just think it's a bad faith effort on that. The other piece is, why has, and I don't know if you know the question or the answer to the question, but why have we not spent the $217,000 on a fire apparatus? We're making a big push with the sales tax that's coming in that we're going to buy new trucks for fire. We've got money allocated for that purpose. Now, maybe it's not the total amount, whatever else, but why is that money, do we know, not gone into actually buying an apparatus?
Well, can I speak first to the Ombudsman Office? Councilmember Cathcart, I had a real conversation with Bart about the money being allocated and what was going to be able to be built. And Councilmember Klitsky had given him some other ideas, and they did not see a path forward. So really with his okay, I could support the money coming back. That was his determination as well, where we're at right now. And then the uncertainty of whatever the building, facilities, programming, whatever the terminology is that we're doing, whatever the exercise is, they were okay with that. So it was painful, but he was okay with it.
Well, I think he's probably more resigned to it, but it's just frustrating. And then the last thing is just for the council to think about. My understanding from both the mayor and Luis Garcia is that we are effectively out of money when it comes to dealing with junk vehicles, RVs, illegal vehicles like that, and the towing and whatnot. And so I'm absolutely going to be proposing an amendment to put some dollars into those operations because it's dire is what it sounds like.
Did you want an answer on the fire?
Yes.
Okay.
If you know the answer, I would like it.
Basically what it boils down to is that we had the $3.128 million for all the police vehicles, and then another 3.7 for the fire. They did all their purchasing, they did all their bids, they got everything under control, and then that 217 was left. I asked them, is it encumbered? They said no, and they said that we could sweep it back.
But we don't know why they didn't choose to invest that in
I think
equipment?
they just did bids, and they did what they did, and I don't know anything beyond that.
Okay.
Any other questions or comment about ARPA? I just want to thank Michelle and your team for working very quickly on all of this, and it's coming down to the deadline. So thank you for monitoring to make sure that this is a good use of funds and that we're able to do it. And I know we've had lots of iterations and talks about this, but this should be the final tranche of allocations. It has to be because we're out of time. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item number 6 is the repeal of the ADU permit fee waivers. It looks like Jacoby's going to brief that.
Yeah, I can take this one. This was this emergency ordinance, as it's being proposed, would repeal existing fee waivers for ADUs built within a certain distance from center and corridors. This was instituted, codified by the council in 2021, and has been in the past and currently is funded through ARPA. So it relates to number 3 on the SBO that Michelle just briefed. With the reallocation of the $17,000 remaining allocated toward these fee waivers, Tammy and her team won't be able to spend that money by the end of the year, so we risk losing the $17,000 of ARPA funding if that's not reallocated, and there's a risk of still having these fee waivers on the books without a funding mechanism. So absent another funding stream to continue to fund these fee waivers, staff's recommendation would be to repeal the fee waivers at this time so that we can sweep that money back.
I would like to see some data related to this, and I don't know if we have any that shows, but for this incentive, certain ADUs would not have been constructed. Unfortunately, the timing, we changed some of the codes around ADUs, and we did this incentive around the same time, so I don't know if we can parse what really helped thrust some of these forward, but if the data shows that this has been a real benefit, I mean, I would be very open to either trying to figure out if we can make some tiny piece of ARPA work or potentially even DSC dollars if it'd be completely eligible for the use. But I'd like to see the data on the success of this if to do that.
I can follow up with Tammy and her team on that. And Tammy, off the top of your head, do you know how much we originally allocated toward this? Was it like $100,000 in 2021?
Oh, Michelle
I could go
does.
back and look.
Michelle's doing sign language.
150. So we did end up spending $133,000 over 3 years.
And then I know that when we were meeting as the executive committee, we did talk about data, but Tammy was unable to get that because someone was out between now and then last week. But we were talking about getting the data for that, but it was very unlikely that this time of the year that funding would be used by the end of the year, and it's already in code to expire at the end of the year anyway. But for future programming, it would be helpful.
Michelle wants to come back. Do you want to come back, or you had to come back?
I just want to clear up on the allocation for the ADUs was 150,000. We pulled back 90 in our previous ARPA reallocation, leaving them with 60, and now they have 17 left.
So they only spent 43 or whatever.
It was like, if I remember correctly, it was like 42 in 1 year and 36 the next.
So can I ask this quick question? So I think when we talked with Tammy, there was not ADU applications in the process. Tammy, or am I just way off base? How many ADU applications are in the process? I think that came up also, Councilmember Cathcart, to kind of help us make this decision.
I have my team looking if there's any in the process
Okay.
now that are pending funding, but we didn't think so as a quick look this morning.
Tammy, could you speak into the microphone so folks online can hear?
We don't think that there are any ADUs pending currently that we're seeking this
Waiver for.
allocation. And yeah, I do have a list of everyone that has used the waiver, or the fee allocation. So they're all over the city, and I'd be happy to, I'll email this out to you guys after this meeting. But yeah, I don't see that we're gonna hit this by the end of the year. This is not when we see a lot of ADU permits being submitted. 45.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll go to item number 7, which is the resolution to initiate Fifth Avenue sub-area planning. Spencer Gardner is going to take that one.
Good afternoon, council members. So as you may recall, in the first tranche of ARPA that was allocated a couple of years ago by council, there was a desire to do sub-area planning. 3 locations were selected for that, 1 in each council district. The first was in Hilliard. That project is ongoing and nearing completion. The second would be the subject of this resolution. That would be in East Central, specifically centered around Fifth Avenue, and doing planning in that area. And the last is slated for West Central. We anticipate being before you at Pies with a proposal for the West Central portion of that work. So this resolution is just really a formal recognition of the kickoff of that sub-area planning process. I'll also note that on the consent agenda, there is a contract for the work. We do have we're trying to get under contract with a consultant who's going to help us with that. Any questions?
Oh, thank you for the clarity. I was getting a little confused on all the sub-area planning going on. Thanks.
Okay.
Excited.
Great. Thank you, Spencer. Item number 9, oops, I'm just skipping all over the place. Item number 8 was Megan Duvall with the nomination of the Register of the Historic. It just says of historic. We'll find out what it is today.
Yes, good job. Keep going. We're just talking about East Central
I know.
and community centers today, so this is great. So good afternoon, council. Let's see. I got my stick here. Okay, so the East Central Community Center, located in the Union Park Addition at 500 South Stone Street, is an institutional late 20th century building. Originally constructed as the Edison School in 1893, the majority of that building was demolished for the construction of the East Central Community Center in 1978. At this time, the building is not yet 50 years of age, but meets the age criteria for listing on the Spokane Register of Historic Places under exceptional significance due to Category E, cultural significance. There's just a small portion of the Edison School that remains, and I think there's a slide in here that shows that. The East Central Community Center is an institutional building on a full-block, community-focused campus. The Community Center building is on the northwest corner of the block, which is bound by East 5th Avenue, South Stone Street, East Hartson Street, and South Lee Street. The building, or some portion thereof, was originally constructed as an elementary school building, most of which was demolished at the time the community center was constructed in 1978. The building was conceived in 1978. The building, as conceived in 1978, retains good integrity, but is not significant for its architecture. The primary physical character defining features are the institutional form of the building, materials, and the full block nature of the campus that has grown alongside the community. So you can see here when it was demolished. Bless you. The East Central Community Center has maintained its role as a community resource, providing a variety of services for the community. A newspaper article from 1976, when the center was being contemplated, stated that the goal of the center was to create a social refuge for their elderly and young, a dispensing point for many human services. The community center concept was initiated by the League of Women for Community Action, and the building was developed collaboratively with the support of the City of Spokane using federal funds. The builder of the 1978 structure was the Max J. Cooney Company, and the designer and engineer was the accomplished firm of Tan Brookie Kundig, whose third namesake was the notable mid-century architect Moritz Kundig. The significance of the building under categories A and E allow for a less rigid treatment of the architectural significance and integrity. So you may or may not know that Maya Angelou was here in Spokane, and she spoke at the East Central Community Center, and that is probably the same drape or curtain behind her that is on the stage today. We just thought that was a great picture and had to include it. So the East Central Community Center is significant under Category A due to its association with Spokane's era of community center construction, the decade-long grassroots community effort to establish and build the East Central Community Center was a catalyst and model for other Spokane neighborhoods to open their own community center. The West Central Community Center opened in 1980, and the Northeast Community Center opened in 1982, following in the footsteps of East Central and using similar funding models to establish and build the centers. The East Central Community Center is exceptionally significant under Category E due to its deep association with the racially and ethnically diverse East Central neighborhood, and particularly with the influential community organization, the League of Women for Community Action. The League was a group of approximately 25 Black women who were the primary advocates for the formation of the center and we're the first provider to receive a contract from the city of Spokane to run the center. The East Central Community Center conveys its historic physical features and is eligible for listing on the Spokane Register of Historic Places. The primary significance of the center under categories A and E, and therefore less dependent on integrity or architectural significance. And I'll just run through the last couple slides. There's that curtain that we were talking about. And the Spokane Historic Landmarks Commission reviewed the application for nomination at our September meeting and recommend approval for listing on the Spokane Register. And I should also say, just as I'm going through the final slides here, oh yeah, I don't know if you, I know this would be a good one to bring back to City Hall, I think.
Where is that at?
It's up, I think it's near the offices. It's kind of in a place where people don't really go. And yeah, but it's great. It's got City Hall behind Mayor Chase. It's really a good one. I didn't know if you knew about that.
I did not know.
Okay, good. I'm glad we threw that in there. And so this nomination was the second of the two nominations that we did to write nominations for underrepresented groups in Spokane. We received funding from the State Preservation Office, and so this is the second one. And yeah.
Go ahead, Councilmember Cagle.
Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering, so if I guess it's actually called the Martin Luther King Jr. Community Center at East Central.
Right.
But if we were to take that and just demolish it with plans to build something brand new on the site, what would be lost? What is it that the community would lose specifically from the architecture, the materials, anything that would truly be lost that we really want to do this to preserve?
Yeah, I think really what we're celebrating with this is more the community activism that created our first community center in Spokane. So we really feel in preservation, we're obviously, we like the actual tangible building that's there. And so this is unusual for us because we wouldn't say that this is an architectural marvel, but it certainly served that community for many, many years. So I think that the community would be, maybe they would be very excited about a brand new community center. Maybe they would be. And I think that's why we wanted to be a little bit careful about it not being an architectural category. So we're not as protective of the architecture, but I think it is the place. So for us, it's that place and what that story is told. It might not be the prettiest building in Spokane, but it really is a tangible place to tell the story.
I would say, to me, who live in East Central, it would be the history. That is a anchoring building in that community. In the addition in 1965, I hate to tell y'all, I was there in 1965. I was in elementary school.
Yeah.
I was in elementary school when that addition was built. So the history is so deep, and the 5 Black women who started that and built that center it just resonates through that neighborhood. And it is currently the only historical building in East Central. Is there another one? I know we did Calvary, but that's.
We haven't done Calvary yet, but we need to. The first one was actually the Cook House, the Cook Abel
That's right.
House. Yeah,
Yes.
on A Street in West Central. Calvary, they are working on that, I think, with the State Preservation Office, and we're very hopeful that we will also get a local register nomination from that. But we haven't heard anything recently, so we aren't writing that one. We wrote this nomination as well as the Cook Abel House.
So
Yeah.
2.
2 right now. Yes.
Right,
And East Central, actually, I think you're right. On that part of, that side of, I don't think there are any other properties. Oh, yeah. Huh? Oh, yeah, that is sort of the greater, I always
one?
think
I
of
didn't
East
hear.
Central, the Dodd House, the Sonora Smart Dodd House on, is it on Sherman or Arthur? Arthur? Or Sherman, I can never remember. Oh, Arthur, yeah. So that house is listed for its association
the
with the
Dodd,
Father's
yes.
Day.
Dodd,
So
yes.
that is in East Central. And there are things in the Perry District that are listed, but I think about that
Central
area
prop-
with Liberty Park sort of cutting the cutoff there and the freeway. No, there is a house on just to the north side of the freeway as well that's listed. So there are a few things that are listed, and certainly things on Sprague.
The only other one would be Libby Junior High.
Libby is too. We listed Libby. Yeah. So we're getting there in East Central, which is exciting. So, yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Now we'll move on to item number 9, which is the Centers and Quarters Update Study with Colin Quinhurst.
Good afternoon, council members. I'm here with a resolution to recognize the work of the Centers and Corridors Update Study, which has taken place over the past year and a half. And this is a resolution that's just recognizing the recommendations as guidance for our work going forward. It doesn't adopt any changes at this time, but will inform the 2026 periodic update of the comprehensive plan. So what this looked at were our current comprehensive plan policies around land use for centers and corridors, our development code, and also the economic conditions in our current centers and corridors. There was a team of consultants that helped us with this, Makers Architecture and Urban Design, who has deep roots in Spokane planning work going back to the 80s with a Browns Addition neighborhood plan. Possibly before that too, SCJ Alliance, which is a local consulting firm, and Leland Consulting Group, which did the real estate and market analysis. And Leland Consulting Group did our original economic analysis for the 2000 comprehensive plan. And so it was a good touch point for the same group to be working on this real estate analysis for comparison. So the purpose of this was to evaluate the guiding principle of our comprehensive plan and see how we're doing and how this might be updated. It hasn't had many amendments since being adopted over 20 years ago. And with this update happening over the next 2 years, we want to do our homework and see how this principle of focused growth in centers and corridors was working out for Spokane. Just as a quick background, the selection of this scenario was based on a 5-year community outreach process called Horizons, and went through, after the Growth Management Act was adopted in the early 90s, we went through an extensive planning period where 4 different scenarios for Spokane's growth were developed. And the one that was picked through the community outreach process was the focused growth, mixed-use centers and corridors scenario. And what this aims to do is designate centers and corridors on the land use plan map where we'd encourage a mix of uses, walkable development, and a mix of activities. And there were 4 center types, including corridors. And so just for a quick review of what those are, the district centers are those larger retail districts that would bring in people driving from throughout the region to shop, as well as local neighborhoods. So you can think about, Southgate, kind of Target, where there's apartment buildings built around it, but also people driving in to go to the Target. Shadle is a good example where you have the Walmart, kind of a bigger shopping center. Employment centers focus on places more like Holy Family along North Division, where you have a high concentration of employment. And then corridors, we just have 3, Hamilton, Market, and Monroe. And then neighborhood centers are kind of the neighborhood favorites, places you can picture kind of walking down to the local coffee shop, places like Perry and Garland Avenue. So over the past year, we did a fair amount of outreach. We went to local coffee shops last fall, about this time last year. So we went to Derailer in Hilliard. We went to Ladder Coffee House in North Monroe, Saranac Commons, the shop in South Perry, and just chatted with people as they're coming in as part of their morning routine to get their kind of local coffee, and wanted to hear from people who actually lived in these centers and see how they felt about how things were working. And we heard a lot of good comments, and they were quality conversations, so it wasn't your usual frequent flyers who come to our open houses down at the Central Library. It was people who live a block away. And they had thoughts on things like the quality of the streetscape, the landscaping, how things were being maintained, and also what kind of development they'd feel okay with in their neighborhood. We also did a real estate workshop last spring, which was very valuable. We had folks representing brokers, landowners, developers from around Spokane, and they had very strong opinions about how centers and corridors are working, and strong opinions about mixed-use development and what should be mandated and what shouldn't be mandated in centers and corridors. So it was very productive. We've also had a series of Plan Commission workshops throughout this process. The most recent one, and it says September 11th, but we pushed it back to give them a little more time to review and us a little more time to provide a quality presentation. We had that public hearing on September 25th. So this is a follow-up to that public hearing where they passed this resolution recognizing the work. So what we heard, priorities were residential infill was a priority, speed reduction, safety for walking, transit access, and a big one that we probably didn't value as much going into the process were the public realm improvements, just how important people considered those streetscape improvements. And this was true for the developers as well. Having the city come to the table, doing the landscaping, doing the curb extensions, just making the street feel more inviting for those existing storefronts, because we do have a lot of existing storefronts still in place that have been there for decades, but the street life has been suffering, and so just improving the public realm. So as much as we mandate development code or land use policy to dictate development style, they also want to see us come to the table by improving the street. So one of the major proposals from this that we also heard people wanting more commercial in their neighborhoods, maybe a small coffee shop that they could walk to. We have a few that are kind of grandfathered in. You can see them peppered through the neighborhood commercial parcels that are peppered throughout the city. If you look at a map of those neighborhood commercial parcels, it's throughout the city. It's the things like the little Rocket Bakery at 14th and Cedar, where it's just this one corner, one shop, or the Meeting House down in South Perry, where Family Promise used to be a neighborhood grocery store in Chief Gary Park. And what people wanted to see was more of that type of thing in their neighborhoods. So what we're looking at doing, and this is a recommendation, we're not changing anything at this time, is taking those center and corridor zones, our current CC zones, and changing those to a set of mixed-use zones. And what those could do is they wouldn't just apply in centers and corridors. They would apply in centers and corridors, or they could, but they could also apply in other places throughout the city based on a future planning process. So MU 3 would be the residential mixed-use zone. It would allow up to 40 feet, which is consistent with our current single-unit residential zone that was just passed recently. So same height as current residential zoning, and it would allow some commercial to be integrated into a mixed-use building within a neighborhood. So we wouldn't be limited just to those designated centers and corridors, those 20 designated centers and corridors. We could look elsewhere. And this was informed also by the market analysis, which found that a majority of the development happening over the past 5 years has happened outside centers and corridors. There has been a fair amount of development happening in centers and corridors, but it's been happening in those outlying centers and corridors where the land is still more affordable, at less than $20 per square foot, where it's up to $70 per square foot within the core of the city. So it's still pretty cheap in those outlying centers and corridors.
So is the idea then that all of the centers and corridors essentially are going to be overlaid with one of these zones? Is that the concept? And how will we decide what is this going to be this one for, a neighborhood center, this one for district center? How are we doing that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And since this is pretty conceptual at this point, we still have options for how we go about this. But the current concept is that this would inform one scenario in our comprehensive plan update process. So this, just like this came out of the focus growth mixed-use scenario in the last process, this would inform a new mixed-use scenario or centers and corridor scenario. It would inform one scenario that the public could look at and say, okay, we like this idea or not, or they could choose another option. So this would feed into one option that the public could weigh in on, and the idea would be that it would replace those centers and corridors zones in those areas. It looks like I'm running out of time, so
Councilman Bingle's online.
Oh, go ahead.
Hey, Colin, thanks. How does this work with a couple of years ago, we passed a resolution on neighborhood retail, and I keep, bugging Spencer for updates on that. How is this going to play into that?
Yeah, this is meant to really align with that concept, where that MU3, that residential mixed-use zone, could apply to those neighborhood retail locations. And so this would be essentially rezoning.
So, but are you saying citywide, or are you just saying on those centers and corridors?
I'm not saying it would be broad swaths, but it'd be strategically selected, but it wouldn't be limited to just centers and corridors.
I know, I've been making a huge push for neighborhood retail, but my concept's a little different, I think, than Councilman Bingle's, although I support his too. And his has been more to actually have allowed employment, places of employment, I think, if I'm interpreting it right, Councilman Bingle, in neighborhoods. So it wouldn't be on an arterial, it wouldn't be in a designated center, this would be in a neighborhood. And what you're telling me is that this would apply in those scenarios as well?
So I think to answer maybe both questions, the value we see in this approach is that the mixed-use zones, as it's conceived in the study, are not limited to only places that have been designated as a center and corridor. So, for example, and again, this presupposes that we go through our comp plan update and we decide that this is the route we want to go. It would be possible in that scenario to zone a parcel in the middle of a residential area as a mixed use. In this case, it would be mixed use 3, and that would allow somebody to then open a coffee shop or something else that serves the neighborhood.
But then we have to predict where someday a residential retail location might open. I mean, you can't spot zone in that way. It's got to be large areas so that you can actually encourage, some sort of investment and innovation.
Yeah, so I think there's two parts to that. The first is the zoning category. The other, and again, we're setting up the conversation for the comp plan update. We could certainly have a conversation with the community about allowing certain types of commercial uses just outright in the residential zones. That's not directly part of this report, but I think this report's sort of setting up the work to have that conversation.
Okay.
Council President.
So thank Councilman Cameron. So my idea is like Fifth Avenue, all residential. So somebody want to do a bookstore, couple older houses there, kind of like what we see in the Perry District, or to Council Member Bingle's point, if somebody was making earrings, for lack of a better something, they could do that out of their house. Is that am I kind of on the same thinking as he's thinking?
Yeah, this would
Okay.
be the category to do that.
Okay.
Did you have a follow-up question?
Councilmember
Okay.
Klitsky.
I think I just want to amplify the feedback that I think we're pretty interested in having more neighborhood retail. I know that my neighborhood's benefited from historic properties that have been able to kind of give them a back door into retail, but those establishments are so valuable, I don't think that businesses should have to go through the back door to get there.
Right, so this would open the door to more of that.
Yeah, so last thing for me, I wonder what has been the interaction? I know it's gone through Plan Commission, so obviously there's some touch, but what has been the interaction like with, say, the NEPDA? Just because example, you're talking about Lincoln, Nevada, which is part of the PDA. You're talking about downtown Hilliard, part of the PDA. We have a big sub-area plan going on right now. So obviously any changes should be incorporated into that now, today. And so what has been that interaction to make sure that either A, we're not doing something that's going to be harmful to the PDA, or B, that there's enough input from the PDA?
Yeah, that's a good question. The two planning teams, we sit right next to each other in our department on the third floor, and we've been trading notes back and forth to make sure we're aligned, but also doing outreach in the NEPDA and just chatting with folks, and everything we've heard in our planning process aligned with what they heard in the sub-area planning process. So yeah, we're in alignment.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Okay. Did Councilman Bingle have one more comment?
Oh, Councilmember Bingle, do you have one more?
Yeah, thank you. And I think if I understood Councilmember Klitsky correctly, is that allowing this citywide, I think, does with certain regulations will enhance neighborhoods and not detract from them. And I think it's good if we take a more citywide approach on this, to where we're not even speculating and inflating land values in certain areas of the city, to where it does sort of push it out in a way in what I think is the effect of what you said. By creating centers and corridors, that land is more valuable and more expensive to build, and so we're seeing it in areas that aren't as expensive. But if you do it citywide, you're going to see a lot of, I think you actually amplified the work of what you're trying to accomplish with centers and corridors, which is people then building there because it's the same cost to build there versus, in the neighborhood. So I think it's good to go citywide, and forgive my voice here, but I would encourage us to look at that and have that be a focus of what we're trying to accomplish.
Thank you. And I think I'll leave it there for now.
All right,
Yeah.
it looks like you had more slides.
If we have time, I have just a couple of quick points.
Let me double check. Agenda. Yeah, maybe like 4 more minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I can be really quick. This would be aligning the heights with those new zones. Just one thing I want to touch on real quick is that storefront streets would replace pedestrian streets. I know there's been confusion about what a pedestrian street is. Is that shutting the street down and making it pedestrianized only? And this would change the naming and how it's applied to be focused on really improving the storefronts along the street. And the recommendation is to apply these regularly in centers and corridors. So it's not just a handful that, I think there are 8 right now, and we have 23 centers and corridors. And so it would be applying those more consistently throughout centers and corridors and having some standards and criteria that go along with those. Design standards would be updated to be more objective and also more flexible. And then we wanted to point out that we did do some testing. So we selected 4 sample sites and kind of ran through a hypothetical development scenario to see what these things would look like. And so we got to see some of the ideas like, enhanced connectivity in those larger sites and see what could fit at like 14th on Grand in the upper left, if you could fit a single stairwell development by the taco time, and it does work. And so again, this resolution is just recognize this work as guidance going forward. No immediate changes, and thank you for considering this idea.
Any last thoughts? All right, that was a quick last little bit. All right, thank you for all that information. All right, next we'll go on to item number 10, which is the altering council membership on the CHHS board with Melissa Morrison.
Good afternoon. This ordinance amends the existing code to provide that city council members are non-voting members on the CHHS board, and amends the existing code that Spokane County representative is also a non-voting and is designated by the county. The change is recommended to avoid conflicts of interest for city council members who often must vote on recommendations coming from the CHHS board.
Councilmember?
Just why was there originally a vote? Do we know?
I don't know. I could find out.
I mean, was there maybe more general fund dollars flowing to CHHS, and we wanted to have somebody there to protect those? I mean, I'm just trying to understand maybe what the origination of this was.
Of having the council members as being on the CHHS board, or
Well, having
them?
a vote on the CHHS board.
I don't know, but I could find out if we know that historical knowledge somewhere.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Council President?
I'll just say, having served on that board when I first got there, I thought it was interesting that we would vote on RFPs, and then it would come to council because it was a conflict of interest. And usually at that time, I was with Councilmember Stratton, we would recuse ourselves. I mean, we just recused ourselves from voting. So if we just change the ordinance where we don't vote, and definitely the one from the county, it's like, I don't know what that one was all about either. So I think it's a good thing to put in place. It just keeps it cleaner, I think. Especially for council members. We can still be the liaison to the CHHS, but not a voting member.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you very much. Next, we have a presentation, which I believe they're online. This is on the cost-effective design and construction for affordable housing. And our guest is Mike Steffen, I believe. Hopefully I said that right.
Yes, you said that right. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, great. I was invited by Jackson, assistant to council member Zapone, to present to the council there on a talk I gave at a HUD innovation webinar, I guess, about a month ago, and which was focused on the northwest region of HUD and innovations going on in this region. And I can just jump into it and share it with you all if that's, hopefully this will all work out. Let me see if I've got this. Pardon me if it's not working. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, well, I've got, about 12 to 13 minutes of presentation here, and then hopefully we can answer any questions if you have it. I'm a our pre-construction director at Walsh Construction. We're based in Portland, but we have a large office in Seattle as well, and actually in Tacoma and Vancouver. So our reach is across the entire Northwest, but we're largely focused in those two major urban regions. I must say, the last building we built in Spokane was at the Fairchild Air Force Base. We built the alert facility for the B-52 pilots there in 1982, and haven't built any housing in Spokane, but what I'm going to talk about certainly applies to housing production there. Just a little bit about Walsh. We've been in business for a little over 63 years and have built a lot of housing over that time, most of it in the affordable housing realm, working mostly with public housing agencies and nonprofits, but we on occasion work with nonprofit developers as well. And just a few samples of just over the last 5 years, we built more than 60 projects, almost 8,000 units, and 12 of those projects I'll talk about here in a little detail that are using cost efficiency methodology that we've developed. Just in terms of framing.
Hey, Mike,
Okay.
you're not advancing your slides on our end. We're just seeing you stuck on one slide that says major components of affordable housing development cost.
Oh my. Well, that's not good. Let me try this again.
It looked like maybe if you hit that presentation button at the bottom right of the PowerPoint.
Bottom right.
Yep, next to the plus sign, or how you enhance. Bottom right, it says slideshow.
There am I. Sorry, this is happening. Let's try it again.
And actually, Mike, I have it up on my end, so if you just want to tell me when to advance.
Okay, well, we could do it that way. Okay, what slide are you on?
I am on the first slide, and you should be able to see it on the WebEx on the other screen.
Okay, let's see. Okay. All right. There we go. Okay. Yeah, why don't we go to the next slide then, and the next one. Yeah, so as we talk about housing and the housing crisis we face, there's a lot of I think there's been a lot of confusion about what is the problem that we're actually trying to solve. Is it actually the supply issue? Does it relate to the regulations? Is the land cost too high anymore? What about the actual cost to build? Or what about how long it takes to build anymore? And obviously these all play into the problem, but at the bottom line is it's a cost issue. We have an affordability problem because the cost of housing has extended beyond what people are able to do. So if you can go to the next slide, I would like to underscore that we're tackling the cost problem first and foremost, and anything we do that distracts from attacking the cost problem, which I think we tend to get into when we're looking at various technologies that are brought to the table as potential solutions, I think we lose track of what we're focused on. So if you can advance again. So when we talk about the cost of housing, there's a lot of components that go into it, but by far the largest piece is the actual construction cost, or what we call the hard cost. So you've got land costs, you've got developer fees, you've got design costs, permitting costs and such. All of those add up to the total cost, but construction cost is the biggest piece by far, and it's where we can move the meter the most in terms of our strategizing on how to reduce cost overall. If you can forward again. So the components that create up construction costs are varied. The largest ones are the structure, typically wood in housing construction. You've got your finishes, your mechanical, electrical systems. Those are the big ones, but there's a whole variety. But advance again. If you add all those up, that's basically the total hard cost of the project, or what we call construction cost. Advance again. Sorry, we have to do it this way, but what we're trying to do at Walsh is conceive of a way that we could dramatically reduce cost in a way that opens up opportunities to not only reduce cost, but if you can advance, but also create room for having buildings that perform better, more energy efficiency, more durable and such, and then advance again. There's an element, I call it joy, or these are the amenities that you put in the buildings, better finishes, nice programmatic spaces that go into the buildings. And the goal is to, if you advance one more, bring costs down on the order of 10%, while still delivering really great, what I call better buildings. Go forward. So we talk about innovation. Everybody seems to think innovations will solve this problem. But I ask, why do we innovate? Do we innovate simply for the sake of it, or are we innovating for the sake of adding value to the process as we seek to address this cost problem? And there's a lot of ways that you can add value in the construction of housing, but the key ways are by increasing safety, or increasing quality, or figuring out ways to reduce the time to build or the cost that it takes to build. And I think if we are serious as a community about addressing the affordability crisis, it's really focusing on actual results rather than theoretical or potential results that tells us what's working and what's not working. And so I emphasize the need for replicability and scale in what we, as we're conceiving approaches to reduce cost, and not so much a focus on potentialities. Move forward. So on the left here, these are technologies and processes that we've investigated at Walsh, and many others in the industry have been investigating. We've seen limited value add with the technology innovations on the left, and where we've seen more higher degree of delivery, I guess, replicability.
Hey, sorry, we're not advancing on mine.
Can you, don't know what's happened to the slides now. Is somebody operating the slides?
Yes, but Mike, you can stop sharing your screen on your end, and then I think Councilmember Bingle will be able to see the shared screen from Chambers.
Thank you.
Okay.
You can go ahead, Mike.
Okay, so yes, so we have built modular projects. We've built with mass timber and a number of the other technologies like gauge steel framing and such that you see on the left, but we've really focused more on the process side in managing design and construction in a more disciplined way that can reduce cost, and really focusing on more standardization. And once you standardize, you can optimize the product that you're designing and building, and then also using or using prefabrication wherever it makes sense, where it can add value. So that's been our focus. If you can advance to the next slide. So we've developed this cost-efficient design and construction methodology, where we've set up some principles for design teams and construction teams to utilize, not with the overall design of the building, but also the subsystems within the buildings. using economies of scale where we can. Especially that comes in on larger sites. So it doesn't really affect missing middle housing as much, but with large sites, you can really leverage economy of scale. And then using lean construction methods in our process. Go forward. And we've outlined these in several white papers that basically collect the knowledge of that 60 plus years of experience at Walsh and kind of codifies our ideas. And we share those with partners and the public when people are interested. Go forward. And here you can see it's not what I would call rocket science. These are the key principles, and I won't go into them in any detail here, but just to stress that following these principles can lead to in a disciplined way, can really lead to reduced cost in the housing that we produce. Move forward. Just an example of optimization. This is a section drawing of an apartment building, and you see the access corridor on the left there and the section through the apartment on the right. And simply by sizing the dimensions of the building layout and the height of the floor-to-floor height of the building, you can maximize and optimize the use of the structural materials, the wood framing in this case, and then the drywall. It may seem logical to you all looking in from the outside as not involved in the industry, but it's unusual for a design team to size the floor-to-floor height so that you're just using single sheets of drywall, and you're not, if you can do that, you can eliminate the waste of cutting the drywall. That's a labor waste, and obviously the offcuts are material waste. So we just focus on micro optimizations such as those in the framing. In the next example, if you just click through it quickly, I'll just talk through them, 5 seconds on each slide. But this is a typical exterior wall. And below you see the typical framing that goes into an exterior wall of an apartment. And above, if you use an optimized approach, that still meets the code for structural requirements and, lateral earthquake resistance. You can frame a building with much reduced material. In this case, if you go to the next slide, it's 42% less material between the two walls. The next slide shows the sheathing that goes over that framing. And if you go to the next slide, just the simple optimization of where the windows are laid out, the floor-to-floor dimension I mentioned before, that can reduce the sheathing material 25%. And then you can increase the amount of insulation that goes into the exterior walls. So if you go to the next slide, in this case, you've got 16% reduction or increase, in the insulating value of the exterior wall while you've reduced the cost. So go to the next slide. So that optimization process can occur in all these different subsystems and elements of the building. Next slide. And then here's a listing of projects that we built over the last 4 to 5 years using the methodology I'm talking about. A number of them are completed. The ones that are bolded there, I'm going to show you a little more detail on in a second. We have several in construction, and then a whole number that are in the pre-planning or pre-construction phase. And the process shows that we can reduce costs, we can reduce the time it takes to build if we follow this discipline. Next slide. So this is Wai's Plaza. This is 175 units of workforce housing. So these are smaller units, 1 bedrooms, some studios, some 2-bedroom units. And we built this, completed it in 2020 in Portland for $111,000 per unit construction cost. It was probably the most foremost use of the discipline I've talked about and produced. We almost got it down to $100,000 per home and built that project in 14 months. Next slide. This is the Bury building that we built with Northwest Housing Alternatives, another nonprofit in the Portland area. Finished right around the same time in 2020, built only about 8 blocks away from the other project. And this kind of showed that the delivery or replicability was there. This one we built for $123,000 a unit. This is a 159 unit building. Again, 1 bedrooms and studios with a few 2 bedrooms. So more on the workforce housing typology. Notably, it was a little bit more expensive because the finishes had to be a much higher grade on this project compared to the siding on the other project. And that was driven by the location of this project on a main street, or what we were just referring to as a storefront street. And the design commission in Portland had some say over material quality here. So that in part contributed to a slightly higher cost. Next slide. This is George Fleming Place that was built with the Low Income Housing Institute in Seattle near Othello Park. These are larger units. So there's 106 apartments in this building. It's also a taller building than the others. This one is 7 stories. So you have 6 stories of wood frame construction above 1 story of concrete. And this one came in at $215,000 per apartment construction cost. But again, these are larger, mostly 2 bedrooms and 3 bedroom apartments in this building. Notably, it was built in 15 months, which is pretty stunning really for that size and height of a building to be built in that time frame. But again, it had a lot to do with the efficiency of the design and the repetition and standardization that the subcontractors are really able to improve the speed of construction on this project. And then next slide, as I'm closing up here, the Trillium House we built this is another project for Northwest Housing Alternatives out at the coast in Oregon, so in Warrenton, just south of Astoria. So a bit more of a remote location. Utilized a lot of prefabrication on this project. The entire structural system was prefabricated and trucked to the site and installed. Notably, we were able to build this building in just 12 months at the coast, largely because of that prefabrication approach. And the cost out at the coast was a little bit higher. This was almost $270,000 per apartment. But again, these are larger family size apartments, 2 bedrooms and 2 3-bedroom apartments. So last slide, if you can advance. So there's some more information if people are interested, and I don't know if there's a handout, but Jackson can make these available to anybody who has more interest. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you. Do any council members have any questions?
Fascinating.
Yeah, thank you for that information. All the great work that you're doing is really great to hear about that. And the slides are located in our council folder, so they're accessible to anyone. Thanks again.
Great. You bet.
All right, Jackson, I believe you have the next one with the resolution opposing ballot initiative 2117.
Hi, good afternoon, council members. I'll be sharing with you today a resolution opposing State Ballot Initiative 2117. So this has to do with the Climate Commitment Act. The Climate Commitment Act was passed by the Washington legislature in 2021. It provides for overall greenhouse gas emissions in the state to be reduced to certain limits at each decade, so 2030, 2040, 2050. And if achieved, would result in near zero greenhouse gas emissions by the year 2050. And this also created the state's Cap and Invest program, which I'll go into next. So cap and trade, or as we call it, cap and invest, entities that emit greenhouse gases are given an allotted amount of greenhouse gases they're allowed to emit based on targets set by the state. Entities that exceed those limits can purchase tax credits from lower emitters via an auction conducted by the Department of Ecology, or they pay steep fines without those tax credits. The Department of Ecology auction finances a variety of, quote, critical climate projects like Youth Ride Free on public transportation and improvements to infrastructure throughout the state. And to date, the auctions have generated $2 billion in revenues. So Initiative 2117 prohibits Washington state or local governments' ability to use cap and trade programs for carbon emission tax credits. And if adopted by the voters, Initiative 2117 effectively repeals the Climate Commitment Act's funding mechanism. So if Initiative 2117 were to pass, key projects in Spokane would be affected. It eliminates 30% of the state transportation funding for all modes, putting funding for Division Street Bus Rapid Transit, North-South Corridor, and active infrastructure in jeopardy. It eliminates funding for extreme weather mitigation, including wildfire prevention and extreme heat initiatives. Eliminates funding for the Public Facilities District, and eliminates funding for Youth Ride Free on public transportation. Notably, it does provide relief to the city of Spokane because right now with the Climate Commitment Act, the waste energy plant would have to basically blow an $8 million hole in the garbage utilities, which would have to be figured out either through exceptions from the state on the Climate Commitment Act, like landfills have gotten, or an increase on ratepayers in the city. And lots of other cities throughout Washington have passed resolutions opposing Initiative 2117, including the ones you see up there. That's it. Any questions?
So this is basically just a resolution like council's done in the past, opposing or supporting a ballot initiative. All right. Thanks, Jackson.
Cool.
Oh, Councilmember Bingle has his hand up.
Oh, Councilmember Bingle.
Yeah, I've got 100 questions, so if somebody else has questions, just feel free to cut
Wait.
me off.
We will take a couple, but we are running out of time and we still need a couple more updates. So maybe pick your couple favorite and we can talk more.
Okay. Yeah, so how would it affect the north-south corridor if the north-south corridor is fully funded?
In my understanding, it just blows a really big hole in the transportation funding for the state, which the budget is already in a predicament. And so funding would have to come from other sources. And so the legislature would have to basically pick and choose and prioritize which projects get funded and which
So the
don't.
north-south corridor is not fully funded in the way that we've been told it's fully funded. Is that what I'm hearing?
I would describe it as saying that this is a 30% reduction in the transportation budget. And so things will be on the chopping block across the board, and the north-south
Yeah, but
freeway could
before
be.
the Climate Commitment Act was enacted, we fully secured the funding for the north-south corridor, correct?
We have a commitment in the current budget, but if that budget changes, the legislature will have to change their allocation, and that could be and likely will be one of the items talked about. Doesn't mean it's a
Okay.
guarantee, but it likely could be.
Well, I would love to see our state legislators on that if they decided to remove that funding from us, because I don't think that would go well for them. Couple things. When you say, or as we call it, cap and invest, who's we?
Who's the we is what he's saying.
What?
He's saying who's the we when you said
The question.
we call it cap and invest.
Oh,
Cap and
sorry.
trade, or as we call it, cap and invest. So who's we?
The Washington State calls it cap and invest. In the Climate Commitment Act, it's referred to as cap and invest, but colloquially, it's called a cap and trade program.
Yes, just like a capital gains tax is not an income tax because we redefined it. Perfect. And then lastly, because I know we have more, but I have 100 questions. How has the Climate Commitment Act affected gas prices for our folks?
That is a question I do not have the answer to at this moment.
Okay, I'll answer the question for you. It is, in between the 30 and 50 cents a gallon that it's been affecting our people. And so when we talk about all the money that would be lost from the budget, that's totally true, but that's because it's coming at the cost of 30 to 50 cents a gallon at the pump for us to have it. And so when we talk about the funding, I think it's important that we talk about where that funding is coming from, because it's affecting my people more than most, because it is those who are the lowest on the socioeconomic ladder that get hit hardest by things like this. So I think it's important to note.
Councilmember Bingle, I'd love for you to share where you're getting your information from because we have not been able to corroborate that.
Oh, yeah, happy to share. I'll have something for you guys later today.
Councilmember Klitsky.
In my experience recently, it was costing $70 to fill up my gas tank just a year ago, and I just filled it up yesterday, and it costs $50.
So anecdotally, some people are seeing relief at the pump. All right, to go on to reports. Thank you, Jackson. We'll go through that. If Nicolette wants to start with hers, if you could do a quick 5-minute brief update. And then Councilmember Dillon is gone for several of these, so it should be pretty quick.
All right. Hello, Council. So I just have 3 slides real quick. This first one is just talking about these homelessness roundtables we've been doing. They've been very successful. And there's a couple pictures there from the 2 that we've had so far. Uh-oh. A lot of good attendance at both of them, regardless of the fact that there were debates on both nights, which is a good sign. I think, in my opinion, the second one was even more successful than the first one, especially after we let everybody go and sit at the tables next to all their friends, and then we told them that we were going to count them all off and make them switch to different number tables so that there was a real mix at each table. And so even you see here down in the lower left, Councilman Klitsky and Commissioner Peace with, a developer, and then I think it's Andrew right to your side from the DSP. Really good mix of people at that table that I don't think would have sat next to each other and had conversations the way they did. So I was really successful. In the first 2 roundtables, we did an overview of the SMC of all of the different sections that regulate unlawful camping, sit and lie, pedestrian interference, siting of shelter facilities, and then we really narrowed the topic down to good neighbor agreement and employment protections, the ban the address, in the second roundtable. And the next roundtable is coming up on October 22nd at 5:30 at the Downtown Central Library. This time it'll be in room A and B. We'll be discussing the shelter siting since we didn't quite get enough time to talk about that at the last roundtable. And we'll also be discussing activation criteria for inclement weather centers. And if you guys have any input on how we discuss that, I'm going to be sending out a draft of the survey, which we should have done by the end of the week, for you guys to look at. And if you wanted to add any other options or any other things that you guys have been hearing from the community. And let me go next slide. Uh-oh. So then we had the Politicrawl. This was something really fun that happened. So I made a little collage of some of the pictures at the Politicrawl. It was really exciting to see all of you guys, or most of you guys in various in the various districts, talking to constituents. Some of the cool topics that came up was everything from transportation, especially when the first bus ran late. And so there was a transportation snafu at the event itself. Zip lines, pickleball courts, homelessness, crime check, and 911, the budget deficit. We really covered the gamut of all the topics. And even the mayor was at the very last site at Berserk, and she plays mean pinball. She has a mean pinball playing game. She was doing pretty well. And then this last slide, speaking of you guys being in the community, I just wanted to highlight some pictures that have happened within the last month. On the top, you've got Councilman Bingle and Councilman Cathcart, and then, the lovely Colleen Gardner yelling at them, and them listening very intently to businesses, Chief Gary neighborhood council members, local service providers, et cetera. And then in the lower left, you have Councilman Dillon at the tenants union meeting with Terry Anderson. And you even have code enforcement, Luis Garcia and Jason Ruffing. We were there to discuss the rental registry ordinance and get some feedback and talk to some of the tenants, activists, and some of the tenants themselves about what they're facing, how to look up to see if their property was registered, et cetera. And then in the middle in red, you've got our beloved Council President Wilkerson with the former mayor of Houston, Anise Parker, who came to speak at the Hello for Good symposium and talk a little bit about their homeless response system. And in green, you have Councilwoman Navarrete and Councilman Zappone when we toured the Spokane Regional Stabilization Center. I really encourage you, if you haven't been, to go. It's a really fantastic center, and one of my favorite parts about that is that they didn't care who we were. They were still just doing their job, you know? I mean, they weren't there to watch, you know, the electeds and their staff, you know, tour the facility. They were there to do their job and would even move around us to get stuff done, and it was a really amazing tour to have. And then in the lower right, Homeless Coalition, which this last time Councilwoman Navarrete and Bingle attended. If you guys are ever interested, let me know, and I'll make sure that there's not a quorum of you guys there. I know we're running short on time, so if there aren't any other questions, we'll just leave it at that.
All right, thank you very much, Nicolette. And for our updates, Housing Action Subcommittee, any updates there, Councilmember Navarrete?
Yeah, we discussed the 1590 home RFPs and RFP committee recommendation and had a 1590 project status report. Next HAS meeting, we'll have CHHS presentation on the point in time count.
Thank you. Neighborhood Council Work Group?
Jacoby, did we have another meeting?
We've got
since
another
last-
meeting on the books for 2 weeks from now.
All right, CHHS Board?
Yeah, as Nicolette said, we had the homeless roundtables and the public's feedback, and it went a lot better, like she said, not like the last time. Ariel talked about some upcoming RFPs and the inclement weather RFI that they put out.
Great. Community Assembly?
I'll have to say, Community Assembly has just been amazing. I'm enjoying my time with them. So if you guys are listening, I like being with you. So last month, we were very fortunate to have new Chief Hall was with us. Chief Julie Oberg was there to give an update on the status of what's going on. And also the mayor was in attendance. So we really had the A team to answer direct questions from Community Assembly members. Also, if there are council members who would like to speak at Community Assembly, certainly be glad to have you, so just let us know. I'm sure they were glad to have you there. So that group is going just gangbusters.
Comp Plan Amendments is done for the year. Human Rights Commission?
There were presentations from several families who have been impacted by police violence and a proclamation for Debbie Novak and the Novak family.
Plan Commission?
Last meeting, they had workshops on the design review standard update, the building opportunity for housing standards, and the new capital improvement plan, and then I don't understand my notes here, but and then in the September 25th meeting, they got a big presentation about kind of the launch of the periodic comp plan update. They had a hearing on October 9th about the comp plan amendments, so we should be getting a recommendation from them soon.
For the public partnerships, been meeting with Parks to talk about potential partnerships for when the schools go out for a new bond, what that would look like as Parks is, what that would look like in partnership with the Parks levy. And so there's been exciting conversations between the school district and Parks on that synergy, and hopefully they'll have a proposal for us soon.
And Parks is having their retreat on Friday.
Downtown Spokane Bid Board, Councilmember Bingle.
Yeah, we meet every other month. We did meet this month.
Downtown Spokane Partnership.
Oh, wait, I take that back. We did meet this month. And just shared with them about the, the homelessness roundtables and encouraged them to come. And then I had to leave early for one of our other meetings, so.
DSP, Councilmember Cathcart is gone. East Sprague Board, Councilmember Dillon's gone. GMA Steering Committee.
We adopted our methodology, which I think ended up being A prime. I'm forgetting my acronyms, but from that group. But basically, it's a methodology that accounts for our existing homelessness, but also for the like adding some flexibility for like it's a complex process. But if you want to look into it, of course, you can look it up at the county website. But I think that this methodology will work the best for Spokane because it adds a little bit of flexibility in how we designate things, but doesn't get us out of our obligation to build enough housing for each income band in our jurisdiction. And then we also voted to add tribal representation from both the Spokane and the Kalispell tribe to the committee.
Great. Launch Northwest, Councilmember Navarrete, have you been able to go? No. I've been able to go. Conflicts with STA. Councilmember Dalton's gone for Library Board. Councilmember Bingle Parks.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Parks has been working on some sort of funding mechanism for themselves for some time. And so we've been discussing with the District 81, School District 81, a potential combined ask that would, again, combine some facilities that would have use both for the schools and for the parks, and what that would look like. So that's been the big topic. And as Council President Wilkerson said, we have our retreat on Friday.
Great. Priority Spokane, Councilmember Dillon's gone. Regional Homeless Authority, Councilmember Bingle.
We are meeting on Wednesday.
All right, we'll look forward to an update, and that concludes our Urban Experience Committee meeting. The next one will be November. Yeah, not the 11th. That would be Veterans Day.
Yeah, we still meet.
Oh, we still meet. All right, November 11th. All right, thanks. Have a good day.